Hey guys, in this video I want to introduce you to a new part of speech in Latin. It's one that you're already very familiar with in English, and thankfully this part of speech works in Latin in much the same way that it works in English. I want to talk to you about prepositions. Now, prepositions are small little words that usually tell us when or where something is or where it happens. And so we have words like after, or during, to signal when something happens. And we have words like in, on, and among to tell us where something is or where it's happening. These are all prepositions, and most prepositions in both English and Latin are fairly short words, though a few of them are a little bit longer. Now, Latin prepositions work, as I said, like English prepositions. That is, they introduce a prepositional phrase. So in English we have things like in the house, on the table, at dinner. All of these prepositional phrases contain two basic elements. They contain a preposition, in, on, and at, and they contain an object of the preposition, house, table, and dinner. When we label a prepositional phrase in English, we usually mark it off with parentheses. We write a P for preposition above the preposition, and we write an OP for object of the preposition above the noun that is the object of the preposition. We will do the exact same thing in Latin. And just like English, in Latin, the preposition will always come before the noun that it's connecting to the rest of the sentence. The word preposition actually means preposition. That is, its position in the sentence is before its object. So in both English and Latin, the preposition has to come before its object. The only way in which Latin prepositions are different from English prepositions is the fact that Latin prepositions prefer their objects to be in a certain case. So some Latin prepositions prefer their object to be in the accusative case. And so the object of those prepositions will always be accusative. Some prepositions, on the other hand, want their case to be in the ablative case. And so the objects of those prepositions will always have an ablative ending on them. And so in the chapter that we're studying right now, we're going to learn a list of prepositions, and all of these prepositions take their object in the accusative case. In the next chapter, we'll learn a list of prepositions, and they will all take their object in the ablative case. So, for instance, we have the word odd in Latin, ad pronounced odd. It means to or toward. And odd requires its noun, its object, to be in the accusative case. So if I wanted to say toward the man, I would need to put an accusative ending on that noun, ad virum, toward the man. If I were labeling it, I would label this as the preposition and this as the object of the preposition. That's how they work. They're very, very simple. Every preposition that requires an accusative case object will have a noun following it with an accusative ending on it. Sometimes there will also be an adjective that's a part of the prepositional phrase. Those adjectives in Latin will often come after the object, so it's not always the last thing in the prepositional phrase. But you will always have a preposition followed by the object of the preposition. So you need to memorize your new vocabulary words, which are the prepositions, and you need to memorize them not merely as odd means to or toward, but you need to memorize them as odd plus the accusative means to or toward. We will have a handful of adjectives that can take their object in either case, but the case of the object will actually change the meaning of the preposition. So it's going to be very important that as you learn this week's and next week's vocabulary, that you learn all of these prepositions with the case that they take. These are prepositional phrases. They're not difficult. They are going to add a bit to our translation. We'll add a new step now. Not only will we find the verb and parse it, find the nouns and parse them, but once we've found the nouns and parse them, then we will mark off our prepositional phrase, then we will be able to label the entire sentence, and then finally translate the sentence. So prepositional phrases are really important. You need to know how they work, you need to know how to spot them very quickly, and you need to know what cases each preposition prefers its object to be in. Hope this is helpful. See you next time.